What's going on, y'all? Welcome back to basketball. So the NBA draft is over now. It's completely done. The first and second round are complete. So, I got to do the thing that all the websites do to make sure that I get enough views. I have to do the winners and losers of the draft. Now, I'll have you guys know, those of you that have been following the channel know that I was kind of actively involved in the draft process this year, and I've slept about an hour and a half in the past, 36, 48 hours. I don't know how long it's been, so I'm a little bit delirious at this point, but I think I've got all my thoughts together and I can still give you guys a good video. But hey, seriously, thank you guys for all the support on all the draft videos and everything. The channel's been doing really well recently. We just passed 2,500 subscribers, which I didn't think was gonna be possible, but seriously, just thank you guys from the bottom of my heart. Thank you. I've been really enjoying doing this stuff for you, and so make sure you guys leave a comment. I respond to every single comment on the channel, and I intend to keep on doing so, but if you have suggestions, drop them in the comments. I want to keep bringing you guys what you want. But also remember, we're trying to be better than the rest of the internet, because if you put anything like brain rot or just like rude in my comment section, I'm probably going to give you an objection and tell you to clean it up, and if you still don't, then I'll just hide you and you don't get to participate anymore. Pretty simple. But anyway, let's get on with the video. Alrighty, so as you guys can see, I've set up a very intricate contraption to help with this. I literally just found this on Tier Maker because I didn't even want to take the time to just go grab the 30 transparent backgrounds that I could have done to make this look even cleaner. We're not going to do that. We're just going to do winners and losers this way. And you know what? You guys are going to take it because it doesn't matter anyway. Let's be honest, this is the kind of video that you should watch while you're doing like something else. Like this is the kind of video I'd watch like doing chores, like cleaning a bathroom or something like that, so I can just listen to something in the background. So let me know, like comment down below, what are you guys doing when you watch my videos? Because it's not like there's anything that crazy going on the screen always, so I'm just, the marketer in me is curious. Alrighty, starting off with the Milwaukee Bucks. These things are in no particular order, by the way. Who did they pick up? They picked up AJ Johnson and then Tyler Smith in the second round. Johnson, not the best pick. I'm kind of surprised that they went to go get him there. Honestly, if you would have swapped the picks, it might have made more sense to me. But even like Johnson, like, I understand that there's some potential there. He's really young. He's in a kind of a position of need, but like there were other players you could have gone to get that also could have been like kind of potential guys, but still help you more than Johnson right now. So I don't necessarily love that, but they got Tyler Smith at the end of the day in the second round, and I think he's a great value. Do I need like an I don't know column already? I might need an I don't know column. All right, we now have an column. There we go. The Milwaukee Bucks already go in Congratulations. And then we have the Brooklyn Nets, who like let's be honestly, like I know that they did nothing, right? They did nothing at this draft whatsoever. But what they did do was they made a deal right beforehand to get themselves some future picks and everything, and they didn't do something stupid like try to trade into this draft or anything to go get somebody that didn't make any sense. They picked a direction, they stuck to it. Shout out the Brooklyn Nets for deciding that they're going to suck for a while now, because they just need to do that. Just take your time, rebuild the team the correct way. That's all you got to do. I don't think it's anything bigger than that, but let's move on to the Knicks. Who did they get in this one? They picked up Daddier, they got Kolek, and they got McCullough, right? And then they also picked up like a bunch of second-round picks. Those are a lot of great value guys. Daddier is somebody that, and I should preface, like, these are all guys that are cheap options to fill out the back end of your roster. That's phenomenal in itself, right? Like, you need guys like that. So you're also developing these guys with all the other talent that you have. You picked up some other draft assets because you just gave up a lot to get Bridges. So that's really cool. I think they might have sent out like one or two of them in other trades. I can't quite remember, but I know they've brought in at least a couple more second round picks, which are going to be valuable if they're trying to make like little itty bitty trades somewhere. But Daddier should be a nice guy to develop, and in a couple of years could be a nice rotational piece. Kolek is a guy that should be ready to play right away should you need him. And kind of same with McCullough. McCullough is somebody that I would have been comfortable taking in the first round even. So the Knicks definitely were one of the bigger winners, I would say, today, in all honesty. Good for them. All right, the Toronto Raptors. Let's remember Jacoby Walters, and then they got Mogbo, however you say his name. Really interesting guy. Then they got Jamal Sheed, and then they got Ulrich Kromke, right? Yeah, so I think those were the 4 picks that they ended up with in the end of the day. This is really going to test my like memory and stuff. I told you guys I'm sleep deprived, and I didn't prep at all to remember all these things. So we're testing my memory right here to make sure that I did it all. I've been staring at these draft screens all day, so I would think that I would know what's going on at the end of the day. But a lot of just kind of like, picks, where it's not like bad by any means, but you're just kind of like, curious to see where that goes. Jacoby Walters, curious to see where that goes. I think he'll be a good defensive player right away, comes off the bench or something. Long term could be a nice shot maker or something like that if he kind of develops that skill a little bit more. Think that could be cool. Mogbo feels like they took him a little bit high, in all honesty, just like to me, felt like they picked him high, but I'm just really curious to see what somebody does with him, so I don't think it's like a bad thing whatsoever. Sheed, I mean, you're going to do what you're going to do with Sheed. He's kind of like a Trey Jones type at the end of the day, and then Kromke's just like, I'm sure he's just going to end up in the G League or maybe on a two-way or something like that, and they'll see if they can develop him. He's really young and everything, so I'll consider the Raptors like a winner at the end of the day. They certainly weren't losers, so they've got interesting things going on at the very least. They picked up Davion Mitchell, too, at one point, and so that's a nice addition. Like, I don't really know what they're doing with this team, but it's not like the team's like making bad decisions. They're just making kind of like, ones. I'm not sure where they're going exactly. The Utah Jazz. Why is this picture so much bigger than the rest of them? Jesus Christ. The Jazz were definitely winners in this whole process. They ended up with Cody Williams, Isaiah Collier, and then Kyle Filipowski. Yeah, I think that's it. Three guys that were definite like names in this class, that's for sure. A lot of potential. You covered a bunch of different positions with this one, so that's really cool. Cody Williams, probably not a huge contributor right away, but could project to be someone pretty interesting for somebody. Collier at one point was thought to be maybe the number one pick in this draft, but some concerns about like how smart he is. Can he actually handle playing point guard? The shooting's really bad, but like he's such an interesting athletic specimen. It was worth taking him at the end of the first round, and then Filipowski, you in theory got some pretty good value from at the top of the second. There was a couple other players I would have probably picked over him, but I can't necessarily fault them for that. It's hard to find size at the end of the day. So Utah Jazz, you guys are winners. Congratulations. So now we have the Rockets. I think they just had Reed Shepherd, right? Just had Reed Shepherd. I don't want to call the Rockets like losers because I feel like there's more to come. And like, here's the thing. Reed Shepherd is like who they needed to throw in, right? If they were going to draft somebody. It feels like they should have just traded down somehow, and they should have found a way to take that third pick and turn it into something else. So that's why I'm going to kind of put them in Like if more moves happen, it could become a winner or something like that. I don't think it's a loser by any means, because at the end of the day, like, who's to say like when you should have taken any of these guys? Like, to me, I feel like you could have moved down, maybe gotten some more assets and still gotten Reed Shepherd, but maybe I'm wrong about that and some of the things that I was hearing from people. But that's just me at the end of the day. So you still got the guy you probably wanted if you were going to take a pick. I just know that they were really trying to trade that pick. So you know what? They get a New Orleans Pelicans. They got Eves Missy and they got Reeves, the shooter or whatever. Yeah. So they pretty much went exactly according to script. That's who a lot of people kind of had them taking. So I think we have to consider them winners for that. Like, those are two positions of need and stuff, and Missy should be able to play right away. So I feel pretty good about the Pelicans in this one. By the way, I don't expect this to be like a 50-50 swap, and I don't know where this is going. This is me kind of going through it live in this, and so maybe as of right now, we're seeing teams ended up making some pretty good decisions overall so far. The Lakers, one of the biggest steals in the first round, getting Dalton Connect. What was it, the 17th or 18th pick? I can't exactly remember, but a guy that probably should have gone top 10 and that's ready to play basketball right now, going to a team that's trying to win basketball games right now. And then, come on, the story of Bronny James. Like, I know we can roll our eyes and be like, oh, what's this about Bronny or whatever. Shut up. You don't have any unique opinions. Just shut up. It's one of the coolest things I've ever seen in sports that this is happening. And if I don't see Bronny catch an alley-oop from LeBron, that's how I want it to happen. I want them running side by side. LeBron's got the ball. Throw that shit up to Bronny. He dunks it. I need that picture. Like, that's just such a cool picture. I absolutely need it. The Lakers are winners. The Chicago Bulls, just Booz Ellis didn't really do anything else in this draft class whatsoever. So, like, I'm not a big Booz Ellis fan at the end of the day, but also I don't really know what else they were supposed to do with that pick. I don't feel like they're winners necessarily. I don't necessarily think they're losers because, like I said, prospect, maybe not the greatest. He could be like something down the line. I'm worried about the ball handling and the shooting and stuff like that, his ability to create for himself. It doesn't seem like a great person to put around Giddey right now, if that's what you're kind of trying to start to build. But also, like, who else were you going to take with this one that made like some sense? I don't exactly know. So the Bulls get it. Timberwolves absolutely won the draft. It was just Dillingham and Shannon, right? Just those two. Dillingham, that was the best case scenario for him, like, as a prospect, just being put around all these defenders. And I don't think most of us even thought that was like a possibility of him to end up there, right? I mean, I didn't hear anything about that whatsoever. So shout out Minnesota for coming up and getting a guy that should help them create shots right away. Like, while the defense is certainly a question, I think it's really, really cool that he's going to have all these other guys around him. He's going to need to take shots right away. So that's cool. And then Terrence Shannon Jr. is is just one of the steals of the draft. He's one of the best players in this class. I think if you ask most people, they'd probably tell you that, and we all know why he fell and everything. But I think Terrence Shannon Jr. is a nice seventh man on this team already that might be able to go get you double-digit points in the NBA already. So I'm very excited about the Timberwolves. Phenomenal job. I'm pretty sure I can confidently say the Timberwolves won this draft. Trailblazers are up next. They didn't get anybody outside of Klingon, right? They ended up moving the other pick because they picked up Denny as well. Like, those are two really good picks. Those are two guys that should be starting alongside Scoot Henderson at some point. So that's a win to me. They got Klingon at 7. That's great value. Like I said, they traded the 14th pick for Denny, which I, again, don't know why the Wizards did that, but, you know, is what it is at the end of the day. So shout out the Portland Trailblazers, man. You guys did kind of well in this one. The Nuggets are up next. It's just De'Ron Holmes, right? And so, man, we got a lot of winners in this one. This was a phenomenal move up for them. Denver traded up to go get him. I think they just lost like a second-round pick or something like that. Maybe another second-round pick. No, they picked up like a couple seconds or something, right, from Phoenix. And, like, that's totally fine. They needed bench people. They can't really go out and sign anybody all that interesting. So getting guys at the end of the first round makes some sense to them. This is a guy that can come in, bring some size, bring some athleticism, hit open shots, be a smart basketball player. Great fit for Denver. People are doing pretty well in the draft so far, but we're getting to the Thunder. Let's just talk about it. So Topic, Dylan Jones, AJ Mitchell, didn't understand any of these picks. I don't think any of them made any sort of sense. The Thunder are losers in this one. Like, here's the thing. Topic could be good or whatever, right? Like, he very well could be, and then you've got just like another good player on the team, and that's cool, right? But it's just like, why? Like, why him? Couldn't we have gone and found somebody with a little bit of length or something else? And then you went and got Dylan Jones, and it's like, how many of these like smaller wings do you really want? And then you went and took another point guard in AJ Mitchell, and I'm just like, I don't know. I don't know what the Thunder are doing with this stuff. It was a weird draft for them. They always know what they're doing though. So like, I'm so prepared to be wrong about this one, and I'm scared that I'm gonna look really stupid. You know, I look stupid all the time. It's not a big deal. So bad picks by Thunder. Bad pick. All right, the Grizzlies are up next. So we got Edey, which was an interesting pick, Wells, and then Cam Spencer. I like the 2 second-round picks. I think there's at least like potential in both of those dudes. They're not ready to play right now by any means, but they make sense. Getting some wings and some shooters and stuff, that makes some sense. The Edey one is so hard for me because, like, I get it. If you think that's the guy, that's the guy. I feel like you really reached for this one. I don't think Zach Edey's like a starting center in the NBA. I just personally don't. I hope I'm wrong about that. Here's what I imagine. I'm like, are we really going to run like pick and rolls with Zach Edey? Do we really think he's mobile enough to be doing stuff like that? I can imagine so many ways NBA teams are going to try to cut him off. They're not going to let him get around the hoop because he's not putting the ball on the floor or anything like that. And we're not doing like post-ups with him out there. So I'm not really sure what we're going to do with that. I think the Grizzlies, for that reason alone, kind of have to be considered losers for this one because they had the 9th pick. Could have maybe gotten like an impactful wing or something like that, like a Williams or something, or a Dalton Connect. Just not a huge fan of it. Dallas Mavericks are up next. They ended up trying to acquire a couple people that they could maybe fill the back end of their roster with in the second round, and that was Ajinça and Huck Porty, I believe that's how you say it, or something like that. He's a big, so it's kind of just like an thing. Like, I'm not like mad at them. I'm not going to call them like winners. Like, I at the end of the day, these guys probably aren't going to be that impactful for them, but I think it was a smart move at the end of the day to go get those guys. So I'm just going to give them a like, you weren't probably going to do anything crazier than that anyway, so shout out them. But let's move on to the Spurs and everything, because I think the Spurs are just like an interesting one to talk about, if nothing else. So what did they acquire in this? They got Castle, they got Nunez, they got Harrison Ingram, and then they got the first round pick from the Timberwolves in the first round swap in 2030. So I think the Spurs made out pretty well. I think you have to say that they're winners in this one. They got Stephon Castle, made a ton of sense, and then they were smart enough to realize, like, hey, there's nobody here else that we need right now, right? And that's a nice thing to be able to say. They're like, let's push our assets back into the future. We can use those to go get somebody else that we want even more in the future. Nobody here was going to really help us all that much now, so that's awesome. Nunez is an interesting guy that can maybe be a project. I don't think he translates to the NBA. Well, Harrison Ingram, let's see how good at defense he actually is, right? But you picked up a couple other picks. You got Stephon Castle that I think is a really talented player, so shout out the Spurs. The Suns actually did pretty well here. Like, they picked up some second-round picks. They got Ryan Dunn, which I thought was a good value, and then they got Oso in the second round, which, again, like an older guy that should be able to get on the court if you really need him to. There's not really anything all that interesting about his game, in my opinion, but I think Dunn fits really well on the team. Just a lengthy wing defender that should be able to play off of the stars there, so I'll give Phoenix a win for this one. Clippers, they just took Cam Christie. I think that's the only thing they actually did. I don't really understand the fit necessarily, and I'm not high on him as a prospect, so So I'm just going to give the Clippers an L on that one. Just, I don't know, like, just wasn't all that interesting to me. The Warriors, they ended up going with Quentin Post. They traded to get back their second round pick. That's what they did. So Post is interesting to me. I don't know how good he's actually going to be defensively in the NBA, but he was on my big board just because I was like, okay, I saw enough of him being like a decent big man to where, like, if I could get a couple more workouts with him and I felt like a little bit better, maybe I'd take him with a pick. But I think just for like everything kind of considered and everything, I don't really know what the Warriors do with this one. I don't like, they didn't have much else to really go off of, so I guess I just give them like an for now. Like, it's a position of need if nothing else, so maybe it works out. Shit, I gotta make a new category. I gotta make a new goddamn category. This is, I'm just gonna give it a random name. We're just gonna give this one a random name and a random color too. Let's just go with this one. The Detroit Pistons or the Pistons. That's the best way to say this here. Who did the Pistons take with this one? They took Ron Holland and then they took Klintman. Klintman's a little bit more interesting. And here's the thing, Holland could be a good player. The Pistons need to start winning some basketball games. How long are you going to suck with all these players? And like, just help out the players you have. It's so frustrating to watch, just like as a basketball fan. Like, why does this franchise insist on just sitting in poverty? Like, please help them. Like, just please, like, you guys might have some cool fast breaks this year, but like in the half court, what are you gonna do? Like Cade's gonna get like quadruple teamed out there at points. So I don't know, man. I don't know. The Pistons, they're the Pistons. Kings took Devin Carter, kept it nice and simple. They moved Davion Mitchell to move and Venzikov to go free up some cap space. Made a lot of sense. So they should have some flexibility to go make a couple other moves because of that. I think Devin Carter will be able to replace Davion Mitchell and then some right now. So they're absolutely winners of this one. Okay, we'll move on to Cleveland then. I'm trying to think who Cleveland got. Oh yeah, they got Jalen Tyson. Not that big on Jalen Tyson. I don't know what he does when he doesn't have the basketball. There's no film to suggest that he's any good without the basketball. So for that reason alone, they're not the Pistons. The Pistons are the Pistons, but they're losers. I would put them in losers. We got the Celtics now. They took Anton Watson and Baylor Shireman. I love the Baylor Shireman pick. I think that's a great value. Ended up keeping both the picks, which helps them fill out the back end of their roster. Who knows if Watson actually makes the team whatsoever. Baylor Shireman obviously definitely will, and he'll be a cheap way to fill out that back half as we keep talking about. He can do a little bit of everything, so I think that's a really good move at the end of the day. I like the Celtics with this one. Who's surprise, teams that do well draft well, right? No matter the spot that they're in. The Sixers got Jared McCain and Adam Bona. I don't like the McCain fit necessarily. I wasn't big on him as a prospect either. I love his energy and I love his attitude and the hustle and everything. And obviously he can shoot the shit out of the basketball in the catch and shoot, but he doesn't really create for himself. He's not like the best passer in the world. Defensively, kind of He doesn't really have a ton of athleticism, and I don't see like how I would need him to play off another point guard that's maybe a little bit bigger. Like if the Hornets like had a second first round pick where they took Jared McCain, I think that would make like a little more sense, because that's kind of why like Reed Shepherd would have made some sense there, right? Because you're like, okay, point guard size, but he can still guard the point guard because LaMelo Ball can go guard the two or something like that. So I don't really like that. Bona's just kind of like a whatever pick. I feel like they maybe could have gotten something a little bit more impactful, but I guess it's hard to find size. I consider the Sixers losers though. The Hornets, they took T-John Salon, and then they also took Simpson. Yeah, so KJ Simpson. I'm pretty fine with both of those picks. I think Salon is one of the sleepers of this draft and could be really good. Are they maybe going to win right away? Probably not, but they're the Charlotte Hornets anyway. We hope the new ownership is going to be better than what they've had before. We hope that Salon can develop and everything. I really like his potential, man. Physically, he's got a ton of gifts. So honestly, in this draft, why not swing for the fences a little bit? So shout out Charlotte in this one. KJ Simpson should be able to contribute if you really need him to day one. So there you go, Charlotte Hornets fans. You got to win for once. The Wizards. Okay, the Wizards one is hard for me. It's really hard for me. You got Sarr. Sarr's a good pickup. I like Bub Carrington. I think he's cool. You got Keyshawn George. I think he's cool, right? But you gave up and you got Brogdon too. Brogdon's a nice player. You got like some picks and stuff like that. That's cool. The Denny trade just pisses me off. Like, you just didn't need to do it. I get you're just trying to completely blow it up and everything, but you just didn't need to. He had a great contract. He was starting to play well for you. It's just like he was young. So, like, I'll give them a win for the sense that, like, only because it happened before the actual draft started. And in terms of like the draft itself, they had already made the move, so they could only do what they could do after that. And they did well with what they had in the actual draft. But know that I'm not happy about it. I'm mad that they traded Denny. I'm very mad at those guys. The Orlando Magic, did they have any other picks besides Silva? No, I don't think that they did. I'm going to give them an for Silva, because it was correct of them to go for a wing, I think. I think that made a lot of sense. I'm just a little bit kind of like, okay, you've got a bunch of wings now that maybe aren't like, we'll say, creative in what they can do on offense, really. So I like that he's a shooter, and I like that he's smart. I worry about having this many kind of like non-quick forwards on the court, but I guess we'll see at the end of the day. But at least you added some shooting. You needed some shooting. The Miami Heat just win every time. They win every time. They got Ware. Ware makes a ton of sense. And then who did they take in the second round that made some sense too? They took Larson. Right? It was Larson. Yeah, it was Larson, who projects to be just like a solid shooter, maybe a 3-and-D guy with time and development, which the Miami Heat can do. So, yeah, no, the Heat just always make the right picks. I can't blame them at all for doing any of these picks. It makes total sense. It just makes me mad how they always just do it right. You Miami Heat fans are so spoiled. It hurts as a Bulls fan to watch that. It just kind of does. But shout out the guys that got drafted by the Heat. They're going to take care of you. The Atlanta Hawks got Reece Sachet, and they got Nikola, is it Jerzic? I can't remember how to say his name or anything. I like both those players. I think both, like Jerzic especially, was a first-round talent in my opinion. I think he's kind of interesting. We'll see what the Hawks end up doing with the rest of their offseason. Like, we can knock him a little bit for not ending up with Sarr, who I think was the best player in the draft. But I mean, Reece Sachet was pretty close behind him, in my opinion. Has a positional need for him. I think that's pretty cool at the end of the day. But yeah, let's finish up with these Pacers. Who did the Pacers get? I know they got Furphy at one point, because they had, how many second-round picks did they have? They had 3? Furphy. They took a UConn guy, Tristan Newton. Oh, and then they took Enrique Freeman. Yeah, he's kind of, I don't really like Freeman all that much. I just don't know what he's going to do. Like, he's going to play like okay defense, and then what we kind of hope that he can kind of pass a little bit. Tristan Newton, I think, is interesting at the very least, but they did slide up to get like Furphy and stuff, and I think Furphy is a guy that should have been a first-round pick. Probably one of the best shooters in this class. Plays with a ton of energy and a lot of pace, so he should fit the Indiana system pretty well. We'll give him a win for that, if nothing else. And there you go. There's your winners and losers of this draft this year. We have actually a bunch of winners. It seems like teams were pretty under control for the most part. We had some it's not the worst thing in the world. It's not bad. We had a couple people that are losers. I'm open to be proven wrong by any of these guys. And then we have the Pistons. Yeah, we got the Pistons. But yeah, let me know what you guys think down in the comments below, especially about the Pistons. No, I'm not trying to anger bait you guys anymore. But no, seriously, appreciate you guys for watching. As always, hopefully you enjoyed this video and everything. And yeah, it's time to get ready for Summer League, free agency, and all the other things. I'm going to try to sleep now. Thanks so much, y'all. We'll talk to you later. Bye.